Hi, this is Ron Turner of FrontRunner 2020. Welcome to this episode of FrontRunner 2020. If you have a question that you'd rather discuss with Peter personally, as you see, he can be reached through all the usual channels. And for our podcast listeners, Peter, would you mind reading your contact information?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry about that, Ron. I should have thought of that. You can reach me via email at Peter Bratt, and that's spelled P-E-T-E-R-B-R-A-T-T, no dots, at gmail.com. You can reach me by phone at area code 214-422-2434. I also have a blog set up at Peter A. Bratt, so P-E-T-E-R-A-B-R-A-T-T, .blogspot.com.
Great, thank you. And Peter has an article on his blog that was just published in Grand Rapids, Michigan last week about their redistricting. And I have to say I'm so impressed by Peter because in addition to working on this presentation, he's working on and Peter, I don't know if you wanted to keep your client confidential or not. Are we treating that confidentially here?
No. You can go ahead and mention it. That's fine.
Okay. Because he's been
working. You want me to talk about it? Because I can.
Well, yeah, because I know that I see among our audience we do have several people from Dallas who might be interested in that, and as sort of a transition, I was just going to say
sure.
that you're working on deadline for the city of Dallas, and as the city finalizes its plans, and in addition to that, working on this presentation, and when I saw in my my RSS feeder that you had another article published in Michigan, I thought, does this guy ever sleep? But anyway, yeah, go ahead and talk a little bit about, what you're doing with the city of Dallas while I sort through all these questions that are coming through here.
Okay, sure, no problem. Well, as I might have mentioned earlier, I moved to Dallas in last year. My wife got a job in Dallas, and I got a job with the city of Dallas working on the redistricting project, which involves redrawing the city council districts. Now, most people are familiar with redistricting, say, on the state level and then on the county level. But the cities, depending on what type of city, cities also redraw their city council seats, and that's the project I've been on. I can say a little bit about it. You can go to the website that I've developed as part of my responsibilities working at the city, dallascityhall.com/redistricting with a capital R for those using Firefox. For some reason, using a lowercase r did not work. And for that, we've been working since pretty much the commission's been meeting since February, and they finalized their work in August. And our goal for this process was to have an open and transparent process. So we really tried to get the public involved, keep the public informed about how the redistricting has worked. We've had a very talented group of 15 commissioners, 14 commissioners appointed by each of the city council members, and then we have a redistricting commission chair, Dr. Ruth Morgan, who is appointed by the mayor. And so it's been a real enjoyable process, and then also it's been really at least helpful for me as a relatively new resident to the city of Dallas, learning about all the different neighborhoods and communities in the city. Now people, when I told them I was moving to Dallas, they said, oh, you're moving to a place with no history and just air conditioners. And I said, no, I don't know. And, I think that this process has just shown there are really defined neighborhoods in Dallas. People might have different definitions of the neighborhoods. Like, for example, we had one hearing where we solicited public opinion from the Pleasant Grove neighborhood. And we had about 9 people give 9 different definitions of what Pleasant Grove was. And so that, that's to be expected, because we all define our neighborhood and our lives differently. And so it was a great way to learn about the city. As far as my article about redistricting Kent County, that's actually where I grew up as a kid, and I still remain in touch with friends there. And so I have some mapping software with pretty easy to draw up new districts. And so it's been, it was very interesting to write. So Ron, in answer to your question, I do sleep. I sleep very well with the air conditioning running full blast.
Yeah, well, that's right. For the people that are not in Texas, you have to sympathize with us. I was watching the weather tonight, and we're setting all kinds of records here. Okay, so Janice has a question. Let me ask the question for her, because it has to do with partisan elections versus non-partisan. How is your analysis different for a partisan election?
Okay, first of all, Jan, that's a great question. I think with the difference between partisan and non-partisan election, probably the biggest difference is on partisan elections, you tend to have a lot more races going on at the same time. So, like, for example, for 2011, we had maybe a city council race, a mayor race, and maybe a bond issue for nonpartisan races. Compare that with 2006, where you had the gubernatorial election, lieutenant governor, state Supreme Court, criminals court, state house, not state senate, just state house, at least for this area. So you have a lot more races and going on. And one way that, at least that I do it differently, is I tend to develop what we in trade call the Democratic or Republican baseline. It's where you tend to average a number of races, or you pick one race where you essentially use it to identify partisan strength. Now in Michigan, we use one race called the State Board of Education. It's way, way, way on the bottom of the ballot, and only the true believers, anyone who knows the candidate would pay attention to that race. But a lot of times it's an easy way for people who are tired of thinking about their vote would just cast the ballot for the partisan candidate of their choice. So you can find that, like, say in Dallas County, you have a candidate who's running for, say, governor. Let's just say it's 2014. And you look at the 2012 criminal court race and see what the Democratic strength was. You can sort of see what you can expect the candidate to get. But then you can also say, well, this candidate's run, like, say, in the state house or the state senate, and they tend to outperform or, say, underperform the baseline. And so you can sort of, like, use that to play a little bit more with the margins. That's at least some of the difference that I've seen. What you also find, sadly, that you'll find partisan races get quite a bit more turnout, especially on presidential years. Turnout in Texas and in everywhere is very low for nonpartisan races if they do not occur on like a November election. So, like City of Dallas, we had, I think, 11% turnout for the second round, for the runoff, and so you're just working with a lot fewer actual voters for the nonpartisan races.
Okay, that's really helpful.